one version of the St. Louis shag, fall off the left is like that, and you can see the look like you're falling aspect of it very clearly. But I'm going to teach the move, so we'll start with the left cross in front variation first, where you saw we're doing even steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What I'm going to do is start with the left going forward and back and forward and back and forward and back. And these are leap steps. Okay? And next what we're going to do is, instead of just going forward, we're going to cross in front, and instead of just going back, we're going to cross behind. So that is the cross, 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 and cross. The next little trick I'm going to put in is a scissoring action. And so we're going to cross in front, recover, and as I step on to the cross behind, I'm going to let the left leg come across, the right leg come across, kicking to the left. And then when I recover on that, I'm going to let the left leg go out to the side. So we have yang bum, yang bum, which again has a falling off sort of feel to it. I call that a side scissors. So we have front and side scissor, front and side scissor, front and side scissor, front and side scissor. And the other thing I want to note is that I'm not just cross and back and cross and back and with my hips staying static. The hips are actually turning with the move. Okay, now, as you can see, it is possible to do it with a lean. And if I'm crossing with the left in front, I'm going to lean to my right. Nearly tripped on my own foot. And if I do it the other side, I'm going to lean to my left. So with the other side, we have when this is done in St. Louis shag, which is a couple dance rather than a solo dance, if you're in a closed position with your partner side by side, the lead will start with the left foot, the follow with the right foot. If you're in an open position, just holding hands, it can be done on either side. If I'm holding like this, I should say, excuse me, when we're in the closed position, we both lean toward each other, and our feet are further apart, normal for that closed position. And if we're in the open position, just holding hands, we're leaning away from each other. And I could be leaning like this if my partner is there, or I could be leaning like this if my partner is there. And either way, the first cross is, we're crossing away from each other. I should also say that while I'm starting with the cross in front, it's perfectly legal to start with a cross behind. Which you do pretty much depends on what you were doing before. So for example, if you were doing St. Louis shag with the John Hudson basic, which is a triple step kick, so I'm rocking back, I'm going to go to cross in front first. And if I were doing it with a Kenny Wetzel basic, forward rock, I'm going to start crossing behind, and so on. So pretty much those are choices. So in collegiate shag, it tends to be done more upright, and in addition, instead of doing cross behind, what I see most often are straight scissors, which would look like this. Cross and scissor, cross and scissor, cross. So this time, cross, and I'm not coming behind, but I am turning my body so I'm facing obliquely to left. Scissor, two straight scissors, cross, and scissor, cross, and scissor, cross. And there's no reason you couldn't do the straight scissors in St. Louis Shag and the cross behind one in Collegiate. I'm going to call cross in front, cross behind, a 1 and 1. So instead of doing a 1 and 1, what would a 2 and 1 look like? Cross it, cross it, cross it, cross it, and likewise we could have a 1 and 2. Cross it, scissor, scissor, cross it, scissor, scissor, cross it, scissor, scissor. And we can have thus a 2 and 2, cross it, cross it, cross it, cross it. We could have a 3 and 1. And a 1 and 3. I think there's a point of diminishing returns going beyond that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Instead of completing the cross behind, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And as you can see, well, I said hold, and you can do hold on 7. What I actually am doing are these little tiny leg circles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So if I'm crossing this way, 3, 4, 5, the leg circle goes like that. And if I'm crossing to my left, it goes like this. So that's the idea, just one little tidbit. Thank you. So because the shag has this twisting action, crossing action, it's logical to go from one of these shag moves into a turn. So the simplest sort of turn is a 4-count turn. So we have these. Which is just the continuation of normal action. Second possibility is a 2-step turn in 4 counts. So it's like a slow. So ya ba 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 ya ba 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 ba. And as you see, those are leaps. Bigger leaps than the normal shag step, I should say. Then we have the possibility of doing more of a jazz style slow turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Where we're coming across, we're turning on both toes, and we're coming to a cross position. Beyond that, I've been experimenting with putting like a kneel turn in. Yeah, bam, 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 bam. In addition, I can keep the step but syncopated. 1, 2, 3, 4, bum, 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 etc. So the very basic concept is a 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. So a few things I want to note about that. First, it's starting with a kick on count 8 rather than starting on 1. The start on 8 is something that's characteristic of several of the early jazz moves, and I like to keep that tradition. Second, when I'm doing the kick, that's the part where you look like you're falling. So I'm leaning away from the kick. I have seen modern renditions of Fall Off the Log where they stay level, and that's fine, but I like doing it the more traditional way. And finally, there's a constant pulse. It's not flat. A, bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba. Yeah, ba, 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 ba. So you can see there's this bounce, this pulse coming through the whole time. Unless, of course, you decide for dramatic reasons at particular points to kill it, and that's fine too. I should say, by the way, it's very common to do a clap when you do the kick. And you can do a clap together, you can do cymbal clap, etc. You can also do finger snaps. Yeah, yeah, ba, ba. 1, 2, 1, 2, etc. So, in terms of variations of that, one of the common ones is to give it a Charleston feel. Charleston has a lot of this kind of action, and one of the traditional ways of doing it is this. We go kick, back, and I do the back, I turn my knees out. I do the side, I turn my knees in. I do the cross, I turn my knees out. And kick is knees out too. And out, and out, and out, and out, and. So that's a very common way of doing it. I always thought it was a little illogical to have effectively out, out, in, out, 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 in, out kind of thing, and so I came up with inverting it. So what I do is I have the out, and on the crosses they will be turned in. So turn in, turn out on the side, turn in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Okay, now you can also play with the timing. So the simplest way is to take a 4 count and make it an 8 count. So instead of doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can do short, 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 long, long. You can do short, short, long, short, short, long, etc., etc. So, next thing you can do is play with the timing. So one trick is a kaboom, a catch step. So they effectively have 2 steps in place of a kaboom, or a step kaboom, or a step, step kaboom, or a step, step, step kaboom. So the kaboom can go anywhere. Now, since the kaboom is putting 2 steps on for a single count, it means that if you do nothing else, it's going to throw you off again. A kaboom, ba, 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 da, ba, ba, 7. And now I want to kick with my left, but it's my right foot that's free. And so one way of escaping that is to do a displacement. 7, 8. So I do a leap onto the foot behind. At the same time I kick, so I still get my kick on 8. Another way of doing it is to compensate by putting in a freeze. So, a ba ba ba, hold, ba 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 ba, kick. And again, that freeze could come anywhere. And on the freeze, you can do an actual freeze, they can do nothing, or you could do some sort of gesture. As long as you're not changing weight, it's still having that same effect of compensating. So if you look at what happens when you do multiple kabooms, I have a kaboom, kaboom, bum, 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 bum. So if I have 2 kabooms, I end up with a cross behind in the kick instead of a cross in front in the kick. And it wouldn't matter where I put those kabooms. If I have 2 in that 8 count sequence, then I'm going to end up behind and And likewise, you can have 3, you can have 4. With 4 kabooms, you would end up with a cross in front and kick. A kaboom, 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 right, ba, bam, ba. I'm running out of space. Let me get back here. A kaboom, 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 bam, bam, ba, and etc. Okay, so kabooms, freezes, and on the freezes, you can emphasize it with a drop to a more plié position, or you could do a toe tap on the hold, or something to mark it as special. One thing that I don't think I've seen everyone else do is a heel roll or fan. If you've done Balboa, Balboa has a yap-ba, yap-ba, ba, ba, ba. That's a heel fan right there. Yap-ba, ba, ba. So something like that, what we're going to do is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me get further back. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. These are not the perfect shoes for that. I'm wearing them because I have to wear an ankle brace. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So essentially the idea is that instead of the cross in front, I put the foot side by side, I get on the heels, I twist the heels around, and then I drop back to the behind. I could also do a 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, which actually is easier for me with these shoes. 8, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that can be done on the other side too. I am not a tap dancer, but I want to just show you what I remember of it, simply so you see why it's called a fall off the log. It's ba 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 yeah ba ba ba. So this thing, you look like you're falling and you recover. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.